It wasn't the worst thing my father had ever said to me. Not even close. But it was the first time he said something like that where everyone could hear it. And the silence that followed felt heavier than anything else that night. We were sitting in my aunt's house during a small anniversary dinner. The kind of gathering our family held every year. Paper plates stacked on the kitchen counter. Folding chairs pulled from the garage. Cheap decorations taped to the wall. It looked warm and ordinary, but beneath the laughter there was always tension waiting to surface. Relatives talked about work, traffic, and weather. The usual safe topics. My brother had just finished explaining that he was changing his major again. No one seemed surprised. This had happened before. More than once. My father laughed loudly and patted him on the back as if this was good news. "It's fine," he said proudly. "He'll figure it out. He has potential." Then his eyes moved toward me. He didn't hesitate. He pointed directly at me, like he was presenting an example to the room. "You've always been a burden," he said calmly. "Your brother, he's the one who actually matters." For a moment, nobody moved. Someone forced an awkward laugh. Another person quietly said something like, all right, let's not start that." My brother stared at his drink. No one defended me. I didn't defend myself either. Not because I agreed with him, but because the truth behind the situation was stranger than anything he believed. For several years, I had been quietly helping my brother pay for school. When his scholarships didn't cover everything, I filled the gap. When his rent was late because he missed shifts at work, I sent money without asking questions. No one in that room knew. Not even him, completely. I told myself it was temporary. Families help each other. That was the rule I had grown up believing. But help slowly turned into expectation. And expectation quietly became dependence. That night I finished dinner, thanked my aunt for the meal, and left earlier than everyone else. No argument. No scene. Just silence. Back at my apartment, I packed one suitcase. Only the essentials. Clothes, laptop, a few documents. I didn't slam the door. I didn't send long emotional messages. I didn't explain anything to anyone. Instead, I opened my laptop. One by one, I handled the small, invisible responsibilities that had quietly connected my life to theirs. The utilities for the shared family house were transferred to my father's name. The automatic monthly transfer to my brother was canceled. Every scheduled payment that came from my account disappeared with a single click. Then I booked a one-way flight to the city where my company's regional office was located. I left before sunrise. No announcement. No goodbye. Just distance. For a while, nothing happened. Days passed. Then weeks. Part of me expected a call asking if I was all right. Another part expected anger. But neither came. It was strange how silence can grow louder over time. Eventually, my phone buzzed with a message. It was from my brother. "Hey, did something happen with the bank?" That was the entire message. No greeting. No curiosity about where I had gone. No question about whether I was safe. Just a problem that needed fixing. I stared at the screen longer than I expected. 1,000 possible responses formed in my mind. I could explain everything. I could list every payment I had made. I could show the bank records proving how many quiet sacrifices had built the stability he believed was normal. But explanations rarely change people's belief. Instead, I typed something simple. "I'm rearranging my life." The typing dots appeared almost immediately. They disappeared. Then they appeared again. What does that mean? I didn't answer. That was when the calls started. My father left a voicemail about responsibility. My mother sent long messages about family loyalty and tradition. According to them, I was being dramatic. I was overreacting. I was punishing everyone for something small. Not one person mentioned what had been said at the dinner table. Not one person used the word burden. A few days later, another message arrived. This one was different. It came from my brother's university financial office. Apparently, my name was still listed as a secondary guarantor on his tuition agreement. Reading that email made my stomach tighten in a way I hadn't expected. Years earlier, I had signed those papers sitting beside him in a bright office because my father insisted it would look more responsible if someone with a stable income co-signed. At the time, it seemed harmless. Now it felt like a chain. I called the university. The voice on the other end sounded calm and professional. The kind of voice that deals with uncomfortable situations every day. I explained that I needed to remove myself from the agreement immediately. They asked for written confirmation and identification. I sent everything the same day. Not long after, official documents arrived confirming the change. My name was gone. All financial responsibility connected to that account had been removed. I forwarded the confirmation to my brother without adding a single comment. He called within minutes. "This is serious," he said. His voice sounded different, thinner, less confident. "They're saying I need to set up a payment plan or they might freeze my enrollment." "I know," I said quietly. "Why would you do this now?" I almost answered honestly. I almost said because Dad told everyone I didn't matter. But that wasn't the entire truth. I shouldn't have been responsible for it in the first place, I said. Silence filled the call. "You know, I can't afford this alone," he finally said. I thought about the overtime shifts I had worked, the vacations I skipped, the apartment I never upgraded even when I could have. "I couldn't afford it either," I replied. Another long silence followed, but something had changed. For the first time, there was no invisible safety net between him and the consequences of his decisions. Over the next months, the family stories started to change. According to relatives, my father was furious. He said I had abandoned everyone. He said I had become selfish and distant. But anger doesn't pay bills. My brother had to meet with financial aid officers himself. He found extra work. He negotiated his own payment plan. And slowly something unexpected happened. People stopped calling me a burden. Instead, they started calling me distant. One evening, after some time had passed, my phone buzzed again. It was my brother. But this message was different. "Are you doing okay out there?" I stared at those words for a long time. It was the first question about me in years that had nothing to do with money. "I'm good," I replied. After a pause, another message appeared. "I didn't realize how much you were covering." I read it twice. Dad always made it sound like he wrote. Then the message stopped. "Like what?" I asked. "Like you were just there?" We didn't resolve everything in that conversation. There were no dramatic apologies, no emotional speeches, just an awkward exchange about work, rent prices, and ordinary life. But something had shifted. Without the money flowing quietly each month, space appeared between us. Space for him to feel responsibility. And space for me to feel something other than obligation. My father never apologized. I stopped expecting it. Conditional love rarely transforms into self-awareness overnight. But something still changed. When the next tuition deadline arrived, my name wasn't involved. When my brother negotiated another payment extension, I wasn't the backup plan. When my parents argued about finances, my name no longer appeared in the conversation. For the first time in years, my life belonged entirely to me. I don't feel victorious. I feel lighter. Sometimes guilt still visits late at night. Sometimes I wonder if walking away proved my father right. But then I remember something important. Love that exists only when you provide something isn't love. It's leverage. And for the first time in my life, I'm no longer the one holding everything together in silence.